Unfortunately, today is not going to be Dexter's day. It's bath day for him. Baths and grooming are a great way to not only clean your dog and make sure they look nice, but to also check their body for any lumps and bumps. So today I just wanted to cover some of the tools that I use when giving Dexter a bath, and hopefully you'll find them helpful as well. So the first thing that I do is I need to prepare the tub. So the first thing that I do to prepare the tub for Dexter is I actually put a hair trap down. So this little hair trap fits our tub perfectly. It just goes right in. And when we're all done with our bath, it'll collect all that hair, so I don't have to worry about any of it going into the drain. After putting my plug down, the next thing that I want to do is make sure that the floor will prevent Dexter from slipping, so I actually put a little rubber mat down on the floor. This will help make sure that his feet have something to grip onto, so he won't be as scared moving around on that wet tub. The other part of our shower is I actually have a handheld, so I can pull that top off, bring it down, and I can help wash Dexter. If you don't have a handheld shower, then we can use a pitcher, so you can get a nice big plastic pitcher so that you can pour it over your dog. Now I will say that when I first started bathing my golden retriever, that's all I used. I only had a pitcher. But now that I have the handheld shower, it saves a lot of time. They also make handheld showers that actually have an on-off switch. That way you don't have to keep turning the water on and off. You can just hit that little switch and it'll stay at that nice warm temperature for your dog. Before I even bring Dexter into the bathroom, I want to make sure that I have all my tools in place so that that bath can be as quick as possible since he really doesn't enjoy it. So I want to make sure that I also have plenty of towels. So I like my microfiber towels. They tend to do really well at kind of sucking up all that extra moisture. And then for Dexter, I also use a washcloth to kind of clean his face. So I want to make sure that that's ready and ready to go. We want to have our choice of non-toxic dog shampoo so that, again, that's not toxic. I can bathe my dog as often as I need to. So for Dexter, that's about every 3 weeks. It just kind of depends on what kind of activities we've gotten into and how dirty he is. The other thing that you can use as an option are cotton balls. So you can put the cotton balls inside your dog's ear to kind of help prevent any of that water getting in there. If you do this, you want to make sure that you remember that they're there, so at the end of the bath you can go ahead and remove them. I actually don't use cotton balls for Dexter. I'll show you when we give Dexter his bath some other ways to keep that water out of his ears. So the next thing that I have for Dexter is his drying jacket. So once we get out of that tub and I've dried him down with his towels, I also put on his drying jacket. So this is one that I actually made, but you can buy them online into various pet stores. And I just have a terry cloth bottom and then just a random topper. So that again will help suck up some of that extra moisture. And for Dexter, since he hates his bath so much, a lot of times I just put his drying jacket on and I just let him air dry. It depends a little bit on the weather, because if it's really cold outside and I know I'm going to need to take him outside kind of quickly, then I want to make sure I dry him up. And if I'm going to dry Dexter, then I just need to have a hair dryer. I like to have them that have different temperatures, that way they're not too hot. Before Dexter actually gets his bath, since he has long fur, I actually brush him out really well first to make sure that there aren't any snaggles. If I can get a lot of his snaggles out first and get a lot of that dead fur off, then that's going to be less fur inside my trap here. The other thing that I take into the bath with Dexter are some nice small training treats. This is particularly helpful when we're teaching our dog to enjoy the bath. We also want to think about ourselves and make sure that we're not wearing anything that we're concerned about if it gets wet. You can also wear a grooming apron that's waterproof and that'll keep you a little bit dry. I tend just to use a t-shirt and then everything goes into the wash when we're all done with our bath. That's my t-shirt, the towels, sometimes even my jeans, depending on how wet we get. So let's get this show on the road. We want to make sure that the bath water is room temperature to a little warm, but not too hot. That's a good boy, Dexter. Stay there. That's a good boy. Once you have the temperature right, nice and warm, we're going to start from his head and work all the way down. You want to make sure not to get it in their eyes or their ears. So if you want, you can actually put cotton balls in their ears. But I just make sure that I'm really careful. All right. So I'm going to lift his head up And I'm going to actually close his ear a little bit so it doesn't get in that ear canal. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. You want to make sure they're nice and wet. And I'm getting his neck up here and his face, down by his chest. And then I go right to around his arms and inside that armpit over there. And since he's a pretty fuzzy dog, I have to make sure those leg hairs are nice and wet. And I just go up and around the other side of his neck. And I am avoiding his ear and his ear canal back here. And then I just work my way down. And I rub while I'm doing it, just to make sure that I'm getting any kind of undercoat that we might have. And I work my way on the side, and the other side. Again, I'm really making sure that everything's nice and wet. And then his back end here. And he is standing on that nice rubberized mat so that he won't slip. And don't forget the bum. Get that tail nice and wet. And his back end over here. Again, I want to get inside those thighs and make sure they're wet. When you have a dog with a lot of fur, this process might take a little bit to make sure everything's nice and soaking. Then I'm going to come back up, re-wet. Make sure I get that belly area good and this little private area. I want to make sure that's nice and clean. I do save his face for last, so I actually skip that right now. A boy. And I do want to keep telling him how good he is. Dexter hates his baths, but he's very good about it. Now some of these hoses actually have an on-off switch, and then you can just turn it off. Mine does not, so I actually turn it off so that I don't waste too much water. Then you want to get your nice non-toxic dog shampoo. And I usually just pour it in my hand and I let it run on Dexter. And that can happen, so they actually do make bathing aprons that you can wear. I just know that when we're done with our bath, I have to wash my clothes along with Dexter's towels. So some non-toxic dog shampoos actually don't lather. So don't be put off if that's happening. Just know you are still getting a nice clean dog. So I just start at the head. I want to make sure that I'm avoiding those eyes right now. Again, I'm going to focus on that later. And I want to get a nice scrub going. And I do come back and wet this as I go because he does kind of dry out his fur a little bit. I know. And Dexter makes it really nice and easy because he has a nice white back. So I usually just kind of start with the back. And then I'm going to come to his ears. I'm going to make sure I scrub really nicely around his neck. And when I do his ears, I want to, again, be very careful about the inside. And I just grab some of this and I just rub it on that ear. Get that nice stuff going on. And Dexter gets his bath about every 3 weeks. Just kind of depends on what kind of activities he's gotten himself into. So he's usually not too dirty. I'm just going to go to that other ear. And again, I'm just going to scrub really nice, make sure I get to those tips. I'm going to kind of go behind that ear as well, but I'm avoiding that ear canal. And then I start just working my way down. Yeah, so go boy. Until eventually I end up hitting all his parts. Actually got quite a bit of shampoo going on here. Usually I'm not quite as foamy. And I'm going behind his armpits over here. Remember, he was brushed first, so there's no snaggles. And I just kind of do a nice little scratching motion. I have short nails, so I'm not worried about scratching him. Almost like a little massage. When I feel like I'm getting a little dry, because I want to go to this chest again, and his chest is starting to dry out a little bit, I'm just going to wet him down there. So I'm going to wet that chest again. Kind of go around his thigh. His thigh was getting a little dry. Maybe swoosh right there. So we got a little cold there. And I'm going to go back. I'm going to put a little more shampoo in my hand because he's got quite a thick chest hair, full of hair. And I'm just going to rub that underneath his chest, underneath his neck. I'm still avoiding his face for now. I'm going to go back underneath those pits. Good boy. And now I'm going to work on those front legs. Again, we have a little bit of hair there for Dexter, so I'm going to go back and add a little more shampoo for each leg so I can get a nice scrub going. And I just gently pick up his leg. When you pick up their legs, you want to make sure you're going with them, not sideways. So you want to kind of go where that joint is. So I'm scrubbing. I'm going to pick up that foot. I want to clean the under pads of his foot. I gotcha. And when you do that, remember they are going off balance a little bit. So I'm stabilizing Dexter a little bit over here under his chest. I'm just doing a little scrub. Those fuzzy feet get black from that cement. And I'm going to do that to all, to all 4 feet. All 4 legs. I want to make sure I get this back end and those back legs and his tail. So I just kind of go from the base of his tail and nicely work my way down. I want to make sure that I'm nice and gentle. And I just kind of, I know his tail's in here and these are his feathers, so I just kind of smush his feathers around. Again, holding his tail here so I'm not turning his tail. And of course his bottom. You don't want a dirty bottom. You don't want to do all this work and leave something undone. So make sure you do get all the parts of your dog's body. All right. After he's been thoroughly washed, I actually rinse him off before I do his face. So we're going to go ahead and do that now with some nice warm water. We want to be careful that when we're rinsing, we're starting at the top and working our way down, so all that soap goes over the side. And we might want to keep our dog's heads up so that it's not getting in their eyes. I'm going to start with the head, and I just work my way. I just gently hold his face. Again, I'm being very careful and watching those ears. And I'm shooting it behind the ear canal, so it's not actually going in his ear. So I'm going to hold his ear, and I'm shutting that ear canal. And go into all that fur he's got there. Rinsing is super important. So again, here's his ear canal, and I have my hand here so that the water is not going in that ear canal. I'm going to get that other side. Rinsing is one of the most important things that you can do. You don't want to leave that shampoo on your dog. I'm just kind of massaging him as I go along. And I'm going to go back to that chest and neck area. And I'm just going to lift his head up. And I'm still avoiding those ear canals. I manipulate my hands so I know right where they're at. And then I work my way down and under and underneath that armpit. Make sure that I'm rinsing that really nicely. And I start back up again. And remember, top to bottom. So I start going down that back. Just rubbing to get some of that shampoo off. And some dogs really enjoy their baths. Dexter's not one of them. He's a really good trooper, but he's not a fan. I'm going to work my way down that side, lift up that foot, make sure I get the bottom there. Remember that tail was washed, so you want to go down that. So I'm going to go on this other side. And we just want to continue to totally rinse off our dogs to make sure we get all that out of there. Don't forget the underbelly, and the toes, and the private parts. Once your dog's fully rinsed, then the next thing that I do is I take a nice clean rag and I wet it down. And that's what I start to wash his face with. I don't use too much shampoo there by his face. And I just kind of rinse it down here. You can. I'm just real cautious. Yeah, good boy. You want to make sure you're gentle on his eyes. And I'm going to do his lips, which he doesn't like at all. So we're going to kind of come underneath here. Just do a little rub. He's a little drooly. You want to clean that all up. And then that's the wash. And the next thing I'm going to do is kind of wring out his ears a little bit. Again, I want to be nice and gentle. And after I work my way down his ears, I'm going to do the same thing with his arms because of all that fur. And then when I'm all done, I'm going to help him get out of the tub. And then we're going to do a nice dry with one of our nice drying towels. And I usually try to stop him from shaking those ears so that they don't develop any hematomas. So I'm just going to start. I am going to dry him off later, but I just want to get most of this stuff off. So I'm just going to start. The better I dry him now, the less I have to worry about a wet dog smell in the house. So I'm going to those ears, which are usually our wettest things, and I'm just kind of squeezing the damp. Go on over here. And he does like to try to escape, so I'm preventing him by blocking that door. Going to get back to those fuzzy feet there. There are little sponges. You can see these towels are really good at sucking up this moisture. These microfiber towels are amazing. Dry them off the best I can. And then the next thing that I do is I put on his drying jacket. I happen to have made this one for him, but you can buy them. So we just slip it over his head. Get those ears out. And for Dexter, sometimes this is it. I just put his drying jacket on and I let Mother Nature do the rest. But I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do a little bit of blow drying for your dog. So we're just going to do a short little dry just to get some of those ears off. We want to make sure that our hair dryer is not too hot. So when I'm drying Dexter, I actually make sure that I'm also drying my hands so that I can make sure that temperature is just right. So I'm going to start it on low. And I want to watch his eyes. I want to make sure that I'm not burning his eyes too. Good boy. And Dexter's already been introduced to the hairdryer in the past in a nice slow manner, so he's not afraid of it. And our low is actually pretty low, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it up a little bit. So after about 10 minutes of blow drying just Dexter's ears, they're almost all the way dry. So that's one of the reasons why for Dexter I tend to let him just air dry, because he enjoys it much better than having the blow dryer on him constantly. Especially in the summer when it's kind of warm outside, it gets a little hot under there. Even making sure that it's not too hot, it still warms up. So we're going to let Dexter take a nap, and then when he wakes up, I'm going to show you how to brush your dog out after their bath.